Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and I've got the standard 4 books to tell you about with one DNF. So I will start with the DNF, and that was Some Fine Day by Kat Ross. This is narrated on audio by Mary Robinette Kowal. Mary Robinette Kowal is wonderful. She is a fantastic narrator. I only have listened to her one other time, and that was when I read Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. But she was amazing, and she is amazing. She's also an author, but oh my gosh, you know, there are so many other narrators that don't know what they're doing that could learn from her. She's so good. So it had nothing to do with the narration at all. It was wonderful. But this is a YA, kind of a post-apocalyptic / dystopian. It's about how the nations, the oceans have warmed up and kind of flooded everything, and so everybody went underground to live, and most everybody lives there, but some people live on the surface, and they're kind of the outcasts. I don't think that the government sends them up there, but they just choose not to live underground. And there are hypercanes, like massive hurricanes that are studied, and everything's all about, you know, even underground is all about the weather because they send scientists up to study it and all that kind of thing. So, you know, the main character is a young girl who is at a military academy training, and she has a boyfriend who she's always been training with, and I didn't like her. I just did not like her at all. She was, you know, this is her big chance to go to the surface with her dad, who's high up in the military, and he's, you know, he's taking the family kind of on the ultimate vacation. And they take the boyfriend along, and he's such a good guy, and she's just blowing him off. She's like, "Man, I don't think I like you anymore." And I thought, I do not like that attitude. Now, maybe that was going to change later, but to be honest, I've just read so many incredibly fantastic books lately that I just didn't have the patience for it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the book. I just think it was my headspace. And if I had stuck with it, I may have rated it 3 or 4 stars, but yeah, it just wasn't for me for right now. So I DNF'd it. I don't think I got very far into it. Maybe, I don't know, couple of hours, something like that. And then I finished Accidentally Hers by Jamie Beck. This was narrated by Kate Rudd. Love Kate Rudd. She's so good. Well, she narrated this little new adult contemporary. I had it from Kindle Unlimited, and I was trying to work my way through those books, and I didn't know what to read after I, like I say, have kind of a book hangover. I always pick up something next, but it's always kind of colored by what I just read. And this was okay. It wasn't anything fantastic. What I didn't like about it is the fact that it took the whole book for everybody to get their act together and get over themselves. And I just thought, I mean, it ended kind of abruptly, to be honest. And there are other things by Jamie Beck that I've read before and that I've thought, so I should have known. Well, I did know. But I thought I'd, you know, give her another chance. She's a decent author. I ended up giving this one 2 stars because I just thought, nah, just not quite up to par. In comparison, in the context of a lot of other new adult authors who do this kind of thing. Like Jill Shalvis. This book didn't even compare to Jill Shalvis. So yeah, for that reason, I give it 2 stars. I picked up The Air He Breathes by Brittainy C. Cherry. This is book 1 of the Elements series, and it is narrated by Erin, Mallon, and Brian Pallino. Narration was so good. It was really, really enjoyable. Erin Mallon, I had just listened to her do a book by Ray Carson last week. And she's just really good. She knows what she's doing. She does it all right. The, you know, inflections, the emotion, the phrasing, it's all done so well. And so I don't know how much new adult contemporary she does, or adult contemporary romance, but she was really good in this. And Brian Pallino, I am really pleased with him. I think he was really, really good. It's funny, I tend to enjoy the guys as narrators more than the women. But I listen to a whole lot more women. So maybe that's why I enjoy the guys more, because I don't listen to nearly as many of them. So anyway, he did the guy's perspective really, really well. I was, the guy's name is Tristan, I think. And I was just really pleased. So excellent marks on the narration. It was really good. The book is, well, I picked the book up because my good friend Lisa, to whom I speak every day on Voxer, she said she loves Brittainy C. Cherry, and this was a 5-star book for her. And I thought, oh, well, I definitely want to pick it up then and try it. I didn't love it as much as she did. This is a romance between two really damaged people who have lost spouses, one to a car, well, no, both to car accidents. He lost his wife and son, and she lost her husband. Her young daughter is, she's raising her, and she's neighbors with the other main character. And he's just kind of drifting through his life, avoiding people, hating everything, feeling like, you know, everything has been taken away from, he's been robbed of everything. And she doesn't really let him get away with that, doesn't let him, like, he treats her horribly. And she doesn't put up with that. I mean, she just keeps coming back for more. And so that was an interesting dynamic going on that I didn't know if I loved, but they were just so damaged. But the thing about this that I think really made me give it like 3.5, but bump it up to 4 stars, I rounded it up because I do think it needed to be rounded up because there's a lot going on. But the way that they came together really quickly, she kind of built it up a little bit, Brittainy C. Cherry did, but I don't know, these characters came into a romantic relationship really quickly, and then they started using each other to kind of substitute for the spouse that was gone. And I think that would creep some people out. I don't know, I saw it as a coping mechanism, and I think as long as they were both consenting, I think it was okay. I don't know that it was healthy, but it was okay. It got them where they needed to go in their own relationship, so that was fine. And I really began to like the guy as the book went on. The way that he started to fall in love with her, that was well done. There was also a bit of mystery and kind of some twists that unfolded at the end, which I thought were really nice. I kind of saw one of them coming, but I didn't see the whole thing coming, which was interesting. And then there's an epilogue, which is really sweet. I always appreciate that because I like to know that I'm leaving the characters in a really good place. Not a hopeful place, but a place where they've gotten, you know, where they've lived a little bit of real life and they're doing well. It's always nice. So, like I say, 3.5 stars rounded up to 4. And then let's get on to the ones that kind of left me going, oh. The first was The Staff and the Blade by Elizabeth Hunter. I read this on my iPad because it's not out on audio yet. I'm hoping it will be soon. It is a collection of 4 novellas that follow one of the head guys in charge. He has a rather strained and difficult and complicated relationship with his wife. She is like his soulmate. And so we begin at early on in his life, because he's like 700 or 800 years old. They live a long time, but they have magic. So anyway, kind of begins then. He is kind of hiding out, to be honest, because he's experienced so much tragedy and he just wants for the world to go away. He just wants to do mundane things so he can cope. And so he does that. He meets her. And then something really bad happens and she goes away for like 200 years to kind of cope with the loss and of this huge tragedy that happens. And then they come back together again. And then there's another even further into the future part. I loved it. Yeah, that world is just a world that I love living and existing in that world when I'm reading that, you know, because I get really invested in the world and the characters. I'm sure there are things wrong with it, but I ended up giving it 5 stars just because I responded so positively in an emotional way, as I often do. And the big deal book last week was Peripeteia by Sarah Lyons Fleming. This is narrated from 2 points of view by Therese, Plummer, and Luke Daniels. Okay, when I got to the end of this book, which is the second book in a series, it's not even the final book or, you know, anything like that. It's the second book. I got to the end of it and I tweeted Sarah Lyons Fleming and I said, okay, I'm done. I will never read another book again. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. And I did that because it was that good. It really was that good. It's a book about zombies. It is the second book in a companion series to her series called Until the End of the World, which is a book about zombies. It's about a kind of a main character in the first series and a couple of her friends and a boyfriend that she's trying to break up with that very night. And the night that it all kind of falls apart, they're in New York City and they have to get out, and they do, and then they go on over 3 books, and it kind of, you know, Sarah Lyons Fleming is not afraid to kill people off. Not afraid of that. And you better know that going in, or you're just going to be wrecked. And you're going to be wrecked anyway, knowing that. So this new series, the first book is called Mordacious. This one's Peripeteia, and the last one is going to be something that starts with I. And the reason these are called these strange titles is because the main character, who is the brother of the main character in the original series, goes to New York City to find her, and he comes upon another group of survivors, and he begins a relationship with the other main character, and they have one of those word of the day calendars, and so they both like words, so every day they read the word, and then the first one to use it in a sentence wins. And they're not really keeping score, but it's just this little thing that they have. And one of the words was mordacious, and I forget what that one means. I'll put it here on the screen. If you probably know if you're a word person. Peripeteia means a sudden reversal in fortune, which has really a lot of meaning in terms of what's going on in the book. So, like I say, second book in the series continues on from the first book. Lots of drama. This isn't really as much about the threat of the zombies as it is about the threat of other groups of people within New York City who are, everybody needs food, everybody needs water, everybody needs the essentials. And they also need to not die because zombies mob them. And so it's much more about that, about human nature and what people are willing to do in order to get stuff that they think they need to survive. And not only that, the power element of, you know, who's going to be in charge? Who's going to call the shots? If you watch The Walking Dead, I think there are a lot of parallels there. But this is its own story, stands completely on its own, and holy cow. Seriously, she is not afraid to kill people, and she does it on a regular basis. So, man, I got to the end and I thought, I am emotionally wrung out. Oh my gosh. So when I tweeted her, I said, at first I said, I think she's about ready to break my heart. And she said, oh, I'm not admitting anything. And I said, oh, how could you? Oh my gosh, I will never read another book again. And she's like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't do that to you. And I said, when's the next book coming out? So she is a delightful person, really fun to talk with on Twitter. And so anyway, that third book is another one of those words. That's what the title's going to be. I don't know if she'll do novellas at all. In the first series, the novella she did between book 1 and book 2 was a game changer. So I don't know if she'll do another novella that's another game changer in this new series. It's the City series. I don't know. We'll see. I totally forgot to tell you about Therese Plummer and Luke Daniels as narrators. Oh my gosh. The thing that impresses me the most about this particular book's narration and these performances is the fact that they can go so seamlessly from a traditional American accent to Hispanic to like Brooklyn, New York, to Hispanic to American traditional. You know, it's like, wow. You always know who is speaking so specifically. I mean, it's so distinct, these characters. And it seems so effortless. Now, I think a talented voice actor can make it seem effortless, and I don't think it is at all. But oh my gosh, what an incredible skill and talent to be able to just go from the next breath. You're speaking like an American person, like a traditional, you know, I don't know, regular American accent, and then you just slip into this Hispanic accent. Oh, it's gosh, so good. So anyway, they were fantastic. So that was last week. Holy cow. After I finished Peripeteia, I didn't know what to read. I had already been reading The Staff and the Blade, so I was already immersed in that world. And to be honest, at night, I go to bed listening to usually Nightbird by Alice Hoffman, because Jenna Lamia narrates it, and I love her voice, and it's very soothing, and it puts me to sleep. I've been listening to book 3 in the Irin Chronicles, which is The Secret, just because I want to fall asleep to that world. I don't know if that makes me strange and crazy and, you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't really care. So anyway, so I am now reading on my iPad The Silent by Elizabeth Hunter, which I desperately wish was on audio. I wish she would just call Zachary Weber on the phone and go, hey, can you narrate these 2 books? How fast can you get it done? Oh, well, she's on Facebook. Elizabeth Hunter is on Facebook. She has a group there. And so she has a couple of other series that are very extensive. And so people talk about those probably more than the Irin Chronicles. But I am harping at where is the audiobook, you know? I love that world. I can't really say anything else. On my iPod, I'm listening to The Knowing. This is by Sharon Cameron, and it is a companion kind of follow-up book to The Forgetting, which was one of my favorite books last year. It's right here. And gorgeous cover. And The Knowing is just as beautiful, except that it's blue. And it takes place about 100 years after that one. And it was kind of confusing at first, but it's making sense now. And there are a couple of main characters, and this is narrated by Emily Wu Zeller and Andrew Iden. I really like Andrew Iden, although he is clearly from Chicago or Michigan or somewhere in the northern U.S., because I can hear that accent, which is fine. It doesn't matter with the character. Emily Wu Zeller is choosing to do the other main character in a particular voice that is very specific to that character. And I can tell that because the other characters that she's voicing with regard to dialogue, I can tell that she wouldn't have to do that. Like, this isn't her normal voice. So she's kind of giving it a little bit of an African accent. And the character is tall, lithe, dark-skinned, and you kind of get the feel that she's of African descent. And the other main character, this guy, he's Asian, I think. I'm pretty sure he's Asian. Actually, his last name is Rodriguez, but I think his mother is Chinese. And so that's why that Asian thing sticks in my mind. He's from California, so he's probably biracial. Anyway, the point is diversity. If you are big on diversity, that's going to make you happy. So, listening to that, I wasn't terribly interested in it to begin with because it wasn't grabbing me, but now the characters have come together and it's starting to make a lot more sense. And she just throws you into the world and kind of lets you flail a little bit. So, oh well, that's okay. After I finish those, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Probably some kind of new adult romance because that's my default. I have a book that I'm interested in by A.L. Jackson. I think it's called Show Me the Way, and I don't know. But Andy and Zach do it. Andy Arndt and Zachary Weber narrate it. So, you know I'm going to be happy with that. So, anyway, that's my weekend. Let me know what you're doing this weekend, what you're reading. You know I always love talking to you about that. It's cloudy, and it's getting colder. and I'm not happy about that. And you will hear me whine a lot. I think the change of seasons is much harder for me as I get older, and I'm hoping that at some point I can move south where it's much sunnier and much warmer, much more of the time. The warm seasons are far longer, and I'm hoping that I can move closer to my kids. I would love to see them more often. So anyway, that's what's going on here. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know how your weekend's going, how your reading's going, and let's talk about all that in comments. And that's it for now for me. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.